already have that stuff, or if they came from somewhere else and you didn't know it.
I didn't either until I started looking for
It
my
just takes it
daughter.
off your shoulders.
Okay.
But I'll get it printed out and
Yeah.
email
Yeah,
it to
they
you.
did, and the one was different because it was medical,
Lisa, you ready?
but the other one, they didn't have anything, so it worked out. Yeah.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. This time I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. I didn't change the order. The new system changed the order. Have a first by Darren, second by Stephen. All those in favor? And that passes 7-0. Now if you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time I'd entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
First by Troy.
Second.
Second by Kalen. All those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to item D, recognition. Dr. Tomlinson.
If it pleases the board, I wanted to recognize our nurse from the high school, Jessica Estep. She wasn't able to be here this evening, but we did want to recognize her for a lot of the work that she's put in over the last year. I really can't say enough nice things about it. Anytime someone talks about the job she's doing there, they're always very positive. So she was nominated by the district nurse, Lady Hurt. Says Jessica goes above and beyond her job title. She's caring, kind, is always going the extra mile for students and staff. She not only handles all the COVID cases well, but she runs her health room efficiently. She's always available for staff questions and is constantly checking in on all of her ill students, even if they're at home. She's a vital member of our nursing team, and we are lucky to have her. And I can convey that that's also what the administration of the high school echoes that as well. So we wanted to recognize Jessica Estep for all her great work in the high school, and she is this month's classified employee of the month.
Thank you, sir. Next up is our MSBA monthly board report.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of December. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the 2021 MSBA Annual Conference in cooperation with the Missouri Association of School Administrators. This year's event was held in Kansas City for the first time after being held virtually last year due to the pandemic. Among the general session speakers was Gene Becker, best-selling author and the chief of staff to former President George H.W. Bush until his death in 2018. Becker is a Missouri public school graduate. She said the former president's life of public service has lessons for all of us today.
He lived life with joy, with passion, but mainly he had a servant's heart. One of his favorite quotes was, "Any definition of a successful life must include service to others." And he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. And of course, that's what all of you are doing by serving on a school board.
Other general session speakers included Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez and Kansas City Chiefs mascot Dan Mears. The conference featured more than 100 concurrent sessions on a wide range of topics, including a panel discussion with members of the State Board of Education and Commissioner of Education Margie Van Dieven. The State Board of Education has now established the group's priorities for the upcoming legislative session. At the top of the State Board of Education's list of key legislative priorities, addressing the growing educator recruitment and retention issues affecting public education. Board members specifically want to see the minimum teacher salary increased from its current $25,000 per year to at least $35,000 a year by the beginning of the 24-25 school year. The board also intends to appoint a Blue Ribbon Commission to make recommendations on teacher recruitment and retention solutions and opportunities. Other legislative priorities include addressing the digital divide in the state, exploring alternatives that replace the traditional time-based education system with a competency-based system, and phasing in a plan to allow local education agencies to count 100% of 4- and 5-year-olds in early learning programs in their calculation of average daily attendance in the foundation formula. Meanwhile, MSBA's delegate assembly met in conjunction with the annual conference to establish the position statements that will guide MSBA's advocacy work during the coming session that convenes on January 5th. MSBA's Associate Executive Director for Advocacy, Mike Reed, tells us he expects the legislature to consider several bills related to school boards.
I see recall being one of the first bills to be introduced. I'm a little afraid that school board elections moving from April to November will be pushed very hard. I think when that happens, we lose our identity in the middle of a big general election. And the school board running as a partisan situation, Republicans or Democrats don't have a candle completely on what's best. What's best for kids is what's best for kids, not on a party line. And so I think that would be devastating to many school boards to run on a partisan situation. But I believe all of those will come up for discussion.
MSBA will strongly oppose bills providing school board recall, moving school board elections to the November general election date, and efforts to make school board elections partisan. We'll be keeping you informed on developments during the legislative session through our weekly Legislative Voice newsletter, critical issue alerts, and immediate updates on Twitter. Information on legislative issues also can be found on MSBA's Action Center website. And mark your calendar now for MSBA's Legislative Forum to be held in Jefferson City on March 7th. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
You have anything further, Darren?
No, sir.
Okay. Jessica? How are you? Come on up. We just did your thing.
Nice try.
Do it one more time.
Ears must have been burning.
You repeat the whole thing again. Read the letter for.
I had a flat tire
all
the
of
way
it.
here. Oh no.
Call 911. They'll fix it for you.
We read a really nice thing about you. Really the premise of it was that everybody who talks about you has glowing things to say, and you're very much appreciated, and we just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to confirm that Jared said nice things about you, you can go to the Excelsior
Roll the
Citizen
tape.
and watch the board meeting.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we have no visitors this evening, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report and Dr. Hooks.
All right, we have quite a few items on the agenda, so I'm going to be brief here and kind of combine all these. We have construction update, state budget update, and enrollment update. So on the construction update, I would say that the ATG work on the ball field is 99% complete. And the Newkirk Hvac still has to do some work with things like, painting the dugouts, and, new bleachers, things like that. So those will be coming soon. The windscreen will put out this spring. There's no reason for it to be on there now and being weathered, so we'll wait and put it on this spring. And then we have our design for our softball bleachers. So everything's coming along great. On the state budget update, that sounds more serious than it is. It is simply the annual letter we get from the on the ASBR to note that it's been reviewed, accepted as complete. We received that, and it would note that there is $11 million more this year than last, but that is bond funds. And just for the record, only about 1.2 million of those dollars do still exist at this time. As you know, the ASBR letters from last year's budget that just got accepted. And then enrollment update, nothing really big has changed there. I will say in the ECC we have 14 more kids than we had in the previous month. So enrollment's holding steady.
Have we heard anything from Job Corps?
I have not gotten any updates from Job Corps, but the campus does remain closed.
Dr. Hugs on the baseball field, the incident that happened that set us back anywhere?
So that, we're still investigating that, and, but we'll have ATG fix any of those issues. As far as the school district is concerned, they haven't turned the facility over to us yet, so that's been on them to take care of.
Okay, thank you.
Builder's risk. All right, any other questions? All right, next up is our fiscal year 21 audit. Mr. Steele, welcome.
And as you mentioned, Brad Steele is here. He's going to present last year's budget audit.
No. Will this work good?
Yeah, yes, it will. Is it the PowerPoint you just need to pull up there?
Yep.
So exciting.
Yeah. So it's
We look excited.
Mhm.
Everybody's smiling.
Let's go.
Usually it's.
No, it's okay.
just the
I just saw
audit.
that.
Mhm.
So, for those who don't mind, my name is Brad Steele. I'm with Westbrook and Company. We performed your audit this year. I'm not gonna go through every single page of the audit, just got the highlights. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time and we can address those as we go. First thing I always want to point out is the independent auditor's report. In this says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present clarity in all material respects. That's what you're looking for. That's what your bonding company is going to look for. That's what DESI's going to look for. Make sure you had a clean audit, and you did. This is a statement of activities, and so you can see here it's got a list of all your governmental activities down the left-hand side, and then the related expenditures with those, and then it's got the program revenues in the middle there, and shows a net position on the far right. So, for example, on transportation, the school spent $1.4 million on transportation, but the true cost was about $1,085,000 because you got reimbursements coming from DESI. This is your balance sheet. You can see there and this is by fund. So you have the general fund, special revenue fund, debt service fund, capital projects fund. The special revenue fund is zero. That's typical. That's your you transfer enough money over there to zero that out at the end of every month. So because that's zero, that's typical. That's what it should be for schools. So nothing out of the ordinary there. And then you've got your cash in a general fund of $8.4 million. And everything you can see there, the $14 million set in the capital projects fund, a lot of that's your projects that you were doing this fall, but at June 30, you had a lot of the money sitting there waiting for the projects to start. And this talks about the restricted funds, or what's restricted assigned on your fund balance, and you can see that at $11.7 million with the bond proceeds and the lease proceeds over there in the capital projects fund. And unassigned is everything that's unrestricted, and you got $7.7 million in the general fund that's unrestricted. This is your net change in fund balance. So this is your revenues and expenditures by fund, and then you can see there at the bottom is net change in fund balance. So it was a negative $1.3 million in what I call the operating funds, which is your general fund and your special revenue fund. And then, of course, your debt service and your capital projects. And capital projects is a huge positive there because of all the proceeds from the bonds. This is your notes regarding your bonds payable and your direct borrowings. And this shows the beginning balance of all your debt, your additions, retirements, your balance at the end of the year, and then the amount due, that's going to be principal amount due within this next year. And the next two, these are bonds payable through maturity, and also principal and interest payments. And I had the leases on here too, but this is all your bonds payable through maturity through 2040. So the next slides kind of summarize all your financial information. This is your comparison of revenues collected by source. And you can see there, the revenue went up quite a bit, but as a percentage of where it comes from, local, county, state, federal, and other, stayed pretty consistent. We'd expect that. This year and in some of the future years, you're going to see your federal funds ratchet up quite a bit because of COVID, and a lot of schools saw that this year. And a lot of that's just a timing issue, but there's federal funding that increases it. But nothing out of the ordinary here. We would expect this to stay pretty consistent, and it did. Same thing, this is just scheduled expenditures paid by object. You can see there that 76% of the operating budget was spent on salary and benefits for the employees. So you have, schools are heavily driven with the personnel, obviously. So 76% of the operating budgets is coming from salary and employee benefits. Again, nothing out of the ordinary here. We would expect those percentages to stay consistent over the last 5 years, and they have. This is probably the most important graph that we have is your reserve ratio. And we talked about this a while ago, how your fund balance had decreased this year, but your reserve ratio is still in pretty good shape. You're still healthy. You're still a healthy district. It's at 27.89%. You're in good shape there from a financial standpoint. We'd like to see all our schools above 20, and you guys are there. So, and then you can see average daily attendance. The red line is without Job Corps and summer school, just so you have a comparison there. Sometimes Job Corps, not the last couple of years, but depending on what's going on there, it can skew one way or the other on your ADA. So I wanted to show that without Job Corps in it as well. We also have to give an opinion on your compliance with Missouri laws and regulations, and basically that's going over, you've got budget, certain budget laws that you have to follow. You got attendance, transportation. So we went over those, and it says, like we said here, fairly stated, so you got a clean audit there. There we did note immaterial instances of noncompliance. That means there were some changes to attendance that had to happen, but all that's been updated and taken care of from a DESI standpoint. So the key word there is immaterial. And so there's the findings on the budget. And I went over with this with your administration, but if you have any questions, I'll feel free to ask me, and we can go over them individually as well. And then we'll also look at your internal controls as a way to plan for our audit. We don't give an opinion on your internal controls, but we do look at it as a way to plan for the audit. And we didn't, we noted a material weakness in your, it's the same one you always have. It's a segregation of duties issue, and it's just the way it's set up from a financial statement standpoint and the size of the district you are. It's just hard to have perfect internal controls, and a lot of our schools have these segregation of duties issues. So there's mitigating controls in place to lessen that risk, but we still have to report on it. That's what that is. Any questions on anything on the audit? Okay. Thank you very much.
That's how good you are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
We have to approve the audit, right? Well, he ran away. What if we don't approve it? Do we get a refund if we don't approve it?
Yeah.
Move to accept the audit.
All right, I was gonna say, I'll entertain a motion. Troy's the first.
Or second.
Kaylin is the second. Since Brad's already left, if you have any questions, you'll have to talk to Dr. Hvac.
Later.
Hearing no questions, all those in favor of approval of the 21 audit? And that passes 7-0. Next up is approval of the E-rate compliance services, and is that you, Dr. Miller?
It is me. So part of my evaluation of programs, always trying to save the district money. So E-rate compliance is a service that we pay somebody to help us with. There's money available that helps us with our connectivity, networking, and we have used them a lot before. It's really common. I think every school district has one of these compliance services. Our current provider researched that a little bit that we have been using. Their prices were pretty high, so we put it out for bid. They lowered their prices a little bit, but they still really didn't come in as the lowest budget. So just wanted to bring this to your attention. You can see the price difference there. It's kind of a no-brainer to save $17,000 so that we can put that towards kids.
Do we have a motion to approve the E-rate compliance services?
So move.
First by Rick, second by Stephen. Anybody have questions for Dr. Miller?
Good job. Good job, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor? And that passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next up, discussion of the new teaching professions program at the Career Center. Dr. Miller.
So this is not going to replace an existing program at the Career Center, but this is an additional one. We do have an empty spot where this will fit perfectly. This is really a great opportunity, and I'm always excited to bring an opportunity for kids to get a new career. Great opportunity for them. I am super excited about this because this really pairs well with a Grow Your Own program for teaching amongst our kids. Just wanted to give you kind of a heads up. This has been submitted. Dr. Bullimore put this. The application's been given to DESE. As schools start introducing this to their students in other communities, some of our partnering districts, I just wanted to make the board aware that this is something out there, that the application has been out there. I didn't want you to hear about it before we actually got the application approved, because it's kind of like you start recruiting before you actually get acceptance for it. Also, I'm really excited about it, so I was kind of excited to tell you about it. The certificates associated with this are really impressive and can help us out a lot. They include, so basically a student that gets through this 2-year program will be ready to have a lot of jobs that we are looking for. Their certificates include the Child Development Associate, the Youth Development Associate. I know Heather's excited about the Paraprofessional certification, so we're hoping to keep some of those kids in Excelsior Springs. And they'll actually leave with a substitute certification, which is amazing. One of the things that I'm really excited about is that we are looking at a dual credit partnership with Northwest, MCC, UCM, and Missouri Western. They'll all partner with us to kind of give the kids in that program a dual credit opportunity to kind of jumpstart their career in teaching and try to recruit them so that they're already well on their way to becoming a teacher. I'm excited to explore opportunities like for scholarships for these kids as well, not just to help them through college, but to kind of help them bring them back into Excelsior Springs. So usually they don't want kids to have they want kids to go and do like their teaching experience, student teaching, and look at other schools. I will tell you, I know Dr. Tomlinson and I have talked about this. We're going to be super possessive with our own kids and try to keep them here and keep them student teaching here, and we want them to come back and partner with our district long term. There's grant opportunities available out there. DESE has put out several Grow Your Own opportunities that Dr. Bullimore's taken advantage of. So this is really not something that needs any approval of any way. This is just kind of an FYI. We're hoping to get that application back next month so Dr. Bullimore can actually come and present a full program to you. But just wanted to make you aware of this. Again, I'm really excited about it.
Are you excited?
I am. Well, it's one of the cheapest programs you can actually have at a career center, because it's really just one adult and you set up a classroom and then you just partner with other districts and give kids opportunities. It's just a home run all the way around. So yeah, we put that on the fast track too. I know it was like this may take 2 years, and Dr. Bullimore has done a very good job of fast tracking it so we can try to get hold of those kids as soon as possible.
So are we also going to include this with the other schools in the
Yes.
Career Center so they can?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
steal
And
their
we will
kids too.
steal their kids
Exactly.
too.
That's what I was
Yes,
thinking.
we will steal their kids too.
It's not
so-
only possessive of our kids, but
Yes,
we'll
we'll
possess
take
theirs
theirs
too.
as well. But it's really a good opportunity to, you really don't want a high school kid who wants high school experience. You don't want them at your high school. So the partnering school districts that go, it's an opportunity to kind of send them out and get those hours that they need in order to get that certification. Yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions for Dr. Miller? Thank you very much. All right, next up, Early Childhood Center Clinic.
All right, we have Dr. Katie Andreessen from the Early Childhood Center, as well as Dr. Kenneth Thomas, Executive Vice President of Children's Services at Swope Health Services. And is Dr. Megan Crone here as well?
No, she's not. She's
Okay.
a little under the weather.
Understood. Well, we're glad she's not here then. So they're going to be presenting, and this is a partnership opportunity for us. So that's After we listen to this presentation, the recommendation is about partnering with to pursue this clinic idea that they're going to be presenting to us tonight.
Good evening. It's been a long time since I've been able to stand in front of the board, so it's very exciting. I'm Dr. Katie Andreessen. I'm the principal of the Early Childhood Center. And in 2018, we took on Head Start. So there had been a center-based program here in Excelsior Springs that was run through the YMCA, and the YMCA was downsizing. So the administration at the time decided to partner with Head Start, and we have them. We've had them ever since then. And if you don't know anything about Head Start, they have lots of requirements. So some of the major requirements they have involve health. They're very focused on whole child. So they want to make sure that they have dental, they get their physicals, and all their medical needs are met. And one of the greatest obstacles we found when we adopted them into our community is that we didn't really have enough providers in Excelsior Springs to be able to meet the need. We have a wonderful hospital, we have wonderful family practitioners here. A lot of our students that all of our students who fall into the Head Start program meet the federal poverty guideline. And so a lot of them are on Medicaid, and that's there's very limited options for them in this community. So Head Start partnered with us at that time to try to find a solution to this problem. So in 2018, only 65% of our Head Start students were getting dental. And if you know anything about teeth, you really want to have healthy teeth to have a healthy child and for them to grow. We also only had 82% of our kids getting physicals, and that was after a lot of push. Like, we were really pushing that, because for both of these, they want us to have 100%. So over that time, we were able to connect with SWOPE, and we've risen both of those, 65% dental to 92%, and 82% to also 92%. So we've had great growth in meeting the medical needs of our students. So if things are going well, why not try to make it even better? So we have a really unique opportunity with SWOPE Medical, and I'm going to let Dr. Thomas talk to you kind of about what they can provide for us, is to actually put a clinic at the Early Childhood Center that would be able to further meet the needs of our early childhood students, but that's only the beginning. After we kind of start that process and we see how that goes, we can also extend that to our elementary schools, our middle schools, and any students up to the age of 18. So we are basically bringing in pediatric services for the children in Excelsior Springs, which is pretty phenomenal if you know what limited services that we have. The clinic would have medical and dental and hopefully optometry. So we're very excited about that. We would be the first school site clinic that would offer all three of those things. So it's a very exciting opportunity. I'm going to let Dr. Thomas talk to you about SWOPE so you get a little bit of information about what they are.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to present our program to you. SWOPE Health has been in existence since about 1969, so 50 plus years SWOPE Health has been serving the community around the Kansas City metro area. And I'll go quickly through each, so you have these as a reference, so I won't spend a lot of time on a lot of these. But we were started 50 years ago, and our mission is to take care of basically, we're a safety net organization, we're a federally qualified health center, which means we get support from HRSA, Human Resources and Services Administration. And our mission is to take care of patients who have no ability to go elsewhere, as well as just provide general good quality health care to anyone who is seeking it out. We have several awards, so National Quality NCQA accredited, Joint Commission accredited, CARF, which is mental health accreditation, quality awards from HRSA. We take quality very, very seriously, and we are not just here to see children, or I'm a pediatrician, I'm not just here to see children or just to see patients. We want to make sure we're providing quality care to anyone. So this is not a matter of you have nowhere else to go, come on over here and we'll do whatever for you. We want to make sure every patient has the access to good, quality, consistent health care. Several locations around the metro area. We have a full range of services from radiology, women's health, adult medicine, pediatrics, several satellite clinics around the metro area. And the program that we've been working with Head Start and Dr. Katie on is our Kids Care program. Our Kids Care program is our community and school-based health program that started as mobile pediatrics 2 or 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. And since then, we've evolved it to be truly an extension of pediatrics at Swope Health. Before the pandemic, because of the pandemic, immunization rates have dropped, well-child visits have dropped, and access to quality health care for children has dropped dramatically over the last 3 or so years. So this is our effort to extend pediatrics into the community. And again, we've been working with Dr. Katie and Head Start for the last year with you guys. And we've been with Head Start for the last 3 years to provide services. And we have an agreement with Head Start that kind of kick-started our efforts with Dr. Katie at the Early Childhood Center. These are just definitions about school-based health care. Again, it's available for you. But the whole purpose of school-based health care is to give children access to services where they are. You know, many families don't have the ability to come to us because of many different barriers. They have to work, they can't take off work, they don't have transportation to get to us. This is a program to bring services to where the children are. And we're building a network of access points around the metro area to be able to accomplish that. One thing we know is if you improve the health of the child, their academic performance improves also. Again, our focus for Kids Care has been health maintenance and early intervention. So when we started the program for Head Start, we started looking at basically compliance. As Dr. Katie said, for Head Start, you must have a well-child visit, you must have immunizations, you must have a dental visit, you must have an eye visit. And so for a lot of children who don't have access to care, they can't enroll in school. So those were the services we started on. But we are now offering, so in the springtime, we'll be offering Dr. Katie at the Early Learning Center regular routine evaluation, so we're not just providing well-child care, but any problem the child has, they have access to medical care through our mobile unit, or if we get a clinic there, through our clinic. Again, just more definitions. I won't kind of take your time up with those. What we're providing right now for Dr. Katie is mobile pediatrics. These are face-to-face visits with our mobile pediatric unit. And again, we're equipped to do full well-child visits. Basically, if you do a full well-child visit on a child, you can take care of any of their needs, and we're equipped to do that. We also have a mobile dental unit that comes out twice a year at least. Probably no, not twice a year. Almost twice a month, almost. Regular dental visits through our mobile dental unit, and we can provide pediatric telehealth evaluation. So again, the ideal is if a child can't come to us in clinic, we come to them through our mobile units. And if that's not available, they can connect to us through pediatric telehealth visits. So what Dr. Katie is talking about now is transitioning from mobile services, you know, through our mobile medical and mobile dental units to actually putting a clinic at the Early Learning Center. So, I mean, why do that when you have mobile services? Well, mobile services are limited. We can't do everything on a mobile unit that we can in a clinic. So having a clinic on site expands our capacity to provide more care for the children. Higher level of care. Multiple, these sites that we're developing are multi-use sites, meaning it's not just pediatrics, it's pediatric dentistry. Hopefully this year we're gonna have our first pediatric optometry suites added to it, and behavioral health is also available also. So again, it's higher capacity. We can see more children than we can on a mobile unit. In the days of COVID, we can provide a safer visit. So our mobile unit is smaller, 2 rooms, and there's usually 1 child on, 1 child off. So it's just higher capacity, higher level of care that we can deliver through an actual brick and mortar clinic on site here. The other thing is that this will be a model, as Dr. Katie said, for expansion. We start with the Early Learning Center. We expand to the elementary schools to say now elementary students can come and utilize that site. We expand to the middle schools and the high schools. So that eventually, if you like, all your students can use this site as an access point for care. And we can still provide mobile services. For instance, we go to the high school and provide a mobile unit for influenza vaccinations or well-child visits for the high school students. Just more about what a physical space can offer. We have many different enabling or support services, including financial assistance programs. So we don't deny any family, any student, any child access based on ability to pay. We'll see them regardless. If they owe a bill, we're not gonna say you still owe us, we can't see you. We turn nobody away, based on financial, their ability to pay. We have Medicaid enrollment screening and enrollment assistance, and remote assistance to help them navigate through the system, basically. We do, again, accept Medicaid, we accept all commercial insurance, our financial assistance program. Again, the biggest goal is to give student services where they are. So ideally, if a parent cannot take off work with certain process and making sure certain consents are signed, that parent may not have to take off work to take that child for that child. And again, all children are seen regardless of ability to pay. The last thing I want to point out is we have several locations around the metro area, and we don't want to just come into an area and say, here we are, let us come in and take care of your children. We try to set up the partnership so that it's Excelsior Springs School District bringing this service to your students. And we prefer, or at least I prefer, that our program takes kind of the back seat to this, in the sense of I'm partnering with Dr. Katie for Dr. Katie to bring these services to her school. And that's always gonna be at the forefront. The families know you, the families trust you, the students trust you, and we're trying to build a safe an environment where they feel safe to come and receive services. So we want to come in and become a part of this community. We will send our pediatrician, our nurse practitioner who lives out in this community. We will try to recruit for this community if we need to employ others. But we want to become part of the community. We will use your community, meaning that we would partner with the local hospitals, partner with the local urgent care centers, other resources in the community. We will build that into the partnership that we're developing with Dr. Katie. So again, we're not just bringing all of our stuff from Kansas City up to Excelsior Springs. We want to come in, partner with Dr. Katie to help build a network for your students here in Excelsior Springs. As far as the space goes, obviously we need a designated space. We do have one kids care clinic, well, we have a couple kids care clinics now, but the medical, the pediatric clinic, it's a little bit smaller than the space that's available here, and that's a 2 exam room clinic. Here, I think we have the space to try to get 3 or 4 exam rooms plus the workspace. The considerations be cost of alterations and renovations, to come in and turn it into a clinic, which includes equipment, and then leasing utilities. So the biggest thing that we look at when you need to consider this is sustainability. So we are federally qualified. You know, we get funding from the government. We look for other sources of funding. So again, we'll be partnering with Dr. Katie to find other sources for this funding for this center. In some situations, we can go to HRSA if HRSA is offering funding for new service sites. But again, we will partner with Dr. Katie to identify the cost for this funding. If we can get alteration and renovation costs, then really there's no overhead. And when I'm talking to my CFOs and my CEO, it's a win-win situation. All I have to do is fund the team that I send here, which will be funded by encounters. So that will be funded by the children that we see without the overhead of, you know, we're $2 million in the hole for alteration and renovation, for instance, which this clinic wouldn't be. Any questions so far? I know it's a lot to kind of take in, and again, everything is in the PowerPoint for you to refer to at a later time. Any questions?
I think one of the most important pieces is we're not coming today to ask you to give us money. We're asking for the partnership. And so through that partnership, we will work with SWOPE's grant writers to try to find different grants to help create this facility. We already have a room set aside for this to happen in right at the front of our building. And it's very exciting. If you hang out with kids, especially little kids, for any amount of time, you know they have lots of health concerns, and just the amount of growth that we've had since SWOPE has come in their limited capacity, it's made a huge difference. We've had, I'll use one child as an example. So he's been with us, this is his 2nd year. He is a Head Start student, although it's available for all students. And he had very significant problems with his teeth. And he is being raised by grandparents, which happens to a lot of our kids in this district, and they weren't sure what direction to head. So with our connection to Swope Dental, he was able to get an initial consultation, get his teeth cleaned, get looked at, and since then has been back on that mobile unit twice to have his teeth fixed. And so today he is in much better shape with his teeth than he was a year ago at this time. And so it's a pretty big impact on our kids when we can get them what they need and meet them where they're at. And also, I think it's also huge to note that he mentioned they're not coming in and taking over the community. They're coming in to be a part of our community. So they'll partner with our existing agencies to try to make sure that they become who we are, not someone different. It literally be part of Excelsior Springs.
What hours would the clinic be open? Would it be during school hours, or would they have separate hours, or how would that work?
We generally open during the same hours the school is open, so we try to avoid, we know that parents sometimes are dropping off, picking up, so we try to avoid that congestion, unless Dr. Katie says not a problem. But basically, we operate from 8 to 5.
So if I understand correctly, it would start out with Dr. Andreessen and ECC, and then with the goals to go to the whole entire district.
Or would the district come to the ECC?
The kids would be available to come,
To that location.
that location would open up if that growth is determined to be the direction we want to go.
Is the room that you have big enough for medical, dental, ophthalmology?
Yeah, we believe so.
We believe so. And again, I don't know if you guys can see the slide, but again, we have our program manager who will come out and look at the room, and we have developers who would do what they call fit testing, which they'll give me some floor plans based on what I would say I need there. My goal is to have 3 to 4 rooms, and so I would like to have a dedicated dental room so that they can do a higher level of dental restorations and things here on site. A dedicated pediatric room, and then 2 multi-purpose rooms that if we're not there, dental can use them. And one of those rooms I'm really hoping would be optometry, because that's a big need for this area that I understand, and we want to bring an optometrist to the area. So if I can get 4 rooms, 2 are multi-purpose, ideally I think we can get at least 3 rooms.
So am I right in thinking that the only cost to the district is just the space of the rooms? Is that right?
And the lease. So you guys own we're coming to your property, so we would want to establish a lease with the property. Some of our partners give us a no-cost lease, for instance.
Right. That'd be our goal, is to.
Right, no, I'm just reminding, there's no cost to the district.
They would just utilize that room.
Right.
And utilities.
Right.
You know.
And alteration and renovation, so we have to find the funding to come in and convert that space into a clinic.
And then for the medical expenses, that's covered through a governmental subsidy?
As far as actually delivering services and seeing the patients?
Yes.
All of that is through SWOPE. So if we set up the clinic, we just come in, we establish, families who want to participate would be established as our patients. If they need financial assistance, they'll go into our financial assistance. If they need Medicaid assistance, we'll help them enroll in Medicaid. If they don't have the ability to pay, some of our sliding fee is $0 copay. It's based on their ability, it's a sliding fee based on their ability to pay.
But you also accept commercial insurance.
And we also accept commercial.
So I could take my child there,
Yeah.
and they could just take my homeowner. You could just take my homeowner's insurance.
Well, my son did
Some
it.
families like it for convenience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just, fairly qualified health centers have a little stigma that this is where people go to have nowhere else to go. Well, we don't consider that. We consider building services that are going to be the same if you go to anywhere. And our pediatric clinic, my professional and personal opinion, is one of the best pediatric clinics in the city.
We actually chose to use them when Brayton had his teeth done. So he had his teeth checked in the mobile dental unit last year, and he had some problems. They identified way more problems than our regular dentist did. He actually had full reconstructive mouth surgery done this summer. Thankful to them for identifying those problems, and so they accepted our insurance, everything.
How will our school nurses fit into this
It was
scenario?
wonderful.
That's excellent.
A perfect question. And Chris, who's our building nurse, she has been a phenomenal asset to this whole process. Swope has a particular person who communicates with her to set up all the site visits. So we set those up for the year, and then of course we've mentioned that we've had additional because kids need dental health and they need more medical help. And so they work very closely to make sure that they set up times to come out. it's really been amazing how smooth that process has gone and how the SWOPE staff works with our staff to make it successful. It's been really great.
But these are true partnerships, so a lot of organizations have tried to put clinics inside of schools, and most of them have failed. What we're trying to do is build true partnerships, meaning that I'm not just gonna put a clinic there and say, okay, we're here, anybody come down. This is a true partnership with Dr. Katie's staff to engage the families, to help them get there, to identify what their needs are, and now Dr. Katie is bringing us in to help address those needs.
So our school nurses kind of act as
They're
liaisons
integral to
with your
they're
program.
integral part of the process. We couldn't do it without them.
And they need a motion.
So, and that's one of the things that we really stress to our partners. Some partners don't quite get it, that you just can't say, come on out here, we got some kids. We expect Chris to engage the family, get them signed up. Chris has a template that she can actually schedule in. This is a true partnership that we're trying to build. And again, I'm trying to build partnerships that is Excelsior Springs School District bringing these to your students, not us bringing it to them.
You're,
What other communities are you working with, and how long have you been working with them?
Our program, Mobile Dental, has been in existence for about 5 years. We started this off of their backbone. So Mobile Dental is taking care of about 40 different sites around the metro area. Again, we're in Belton, we're in North Kansas City.
In
we're
their
Kansas,
schools?
Kansas.
At their school districts?
We're providing services for the school. We have one clinic at Emmanuel Family and Child Development Center, which is another early learning center. We have dental at Operation Breakthrough, which is a large early learning center in Kansas City, Missouri. We're looking at Genesis School to put telehealth psychiatry there. And we're looking at a couple other schools as well as Excelsior Springs that do an actual brick and mortar. So pediatrics, Kids Care for Pediatrics has been in existence. This is our 3rd year. So we're building that network. We're actively building that network that include mobile, it include brick and mortar access points, it include our satellites. Also, it include telehealth. So it's not just, again, it's just seeing your child and seeing them there. If you can't get to us, here's telehealth. Here's us coming to the mobile. Here's an access point like Excelsior Springs. Or if you can get to our satellites, here's your nearest satellite clinic, which would be, for instance, North Clinic, that they can get full services for their entire family. So again, it's not just putting the clinic here and saying, here you go, send anybody you want to. It's a true partnership to give your students and their families access to all of our services.
Would they also have access through the summer?
Yeah, access to us is 4 times. So once
Okay.
they become our patient through Dr. Katie.
No, I mean at the school though.
Oh, at the school. As
Yeah.
long as you allow us in there, we'll come.
I work all year,
Yeah.
so I'm there.
Yeah, so it's based on when we can get into the site. So our site at Emmanuel and Operation Breakthrough is an all year long operation. You know, if a school closed down and said, we don't want to do it during the summer, we would honor that, but we would be here as much as she can let us in the center.
Say just for example, you're saying full services, physicals, obviously for sports is a big deal, all that, like that's available.
Immunizations, physicals, yes,
Correct.
it's,
Great.
So we started looking at well child care immunization for compliance because a lot of students were out of compliance.
Sure.
And now we're transitioning now to say, well, here's a couple of days. If they need anything, they need asthma care, they need eczema, anything that they need, they come and see us just as if they came to clinic.
Awesome.
So it's all like during the day, some parents aren't available. They, the parents have to be there. It's not just a representative from the school that escorts them in there and sees them, check up.
Ideally, we want the parents there.
Yes.
Because we want the parents engaged in their child's health care. But if there's really a situation, I just started a job, I can't get off work right now, we have processes in place that if we get the right consents, again, through your school nurses, we can contact that parent using telehealth services to get the history and everything we need for that child. And if the parent says, Dr. Katie, you can let Chris escort my child to the clinic, because we don't want to shop, we want a third party to chaperone a child. We can see that child without the parent physically being there because we have other technologies that will link us to that parent.
And that's if the parent wanted that, right?
Right.
It's meant to be, that's a convenience offered to a parent that can't be there. It's kind of that traditional doctor office where
Right.
the parent comes with the kid, they're seen. The nice thing is the Parent can go and the kid can just go on to class after.
Exactly. Well, it's less time off of work, so if the parent has to be there, it's less time off work. Less time that the child is out of the class. And there are some people who truly have a legitimate reason why they can't be there and the child's gonna get kicked out of school because they don't have immunizations. We can deliver those services, but ideally, it's best to have a parent.
I'd be, even digitally, I mean, that would obviously be good FaceTime, I mean, at least they could still be there on the board, so.
It was pretty neat to watch, like when we went to enrollment, my son was like, where are we? Are we at school? Cause it was, I mean, everybody was set up, they were taking his weight and they were checking his ears and they were looking down his throat and they were giving him that whole checkup because it is part of the Head Start program. So all those kids got seen, even if they didn't need to be seen, which was really nice.
From your experience, what, or approximately, what do you think the cost to basically renovate that room into what you envision it to be? What are you thinking a cost estimate on that? I mean, just a ballpark. I'm not asking for
it can, because the 4 walls are already there, we're not doing it from ground up kind of thing. It can be anywhere from about $100,000 to a couple $100,000. Again, the 4 walls are there, they're finished walls. It's not gonna be a lot that we have to really come in and do other than put up walls in the middle and equipment and all that.
Is there plumbing in that room?
Yeah, we have a bathroom with a sink.
So it's easy to
there's
get
two.
water drains.
The room is the old ECC room at my building currently, which is on the very end. It also has an outside access. So at the moment, until we get a clinic, it has an outside door, so we can have staff escort kids, like we can do weight and height in that space and then go out to the mobile unit. So we tried to find a place that was at the front of the building. You know, if parents are coming, we're still keeping the building very safe. They will still check in like they always would. They would not be very far into the building, and we could keep everybody safe. It also has that outside door, so.
And do you provide, or does SWOPE provide the medical equipment, the whatever, to outfit it?
Typically, we will come in and outfit the clinic, correct. And
So
again, we would be looking for funding. I mean, every time we do a new site, we have to find the funds for it. Because the government, HRSA just doesn't give us money for it, but sometimes HRSA does have some funding available. And we would pretty much look through the HRSA right now and say, okay, what's available that would help fund alteration and renovation of this site.
With all the telehealth and everything else going on, would it be your own technology that supports that, or would our tech department help support that, or?
A little bit of both. So, you know, we would come in and through our agreement, and we really haven't talked about agreements, so our MOUs are purely collaborative. So the MOU we have right now doesn't hold you guys anything, doesn't hold us anything, it's just a foundation so we can come in and provide services to your students. With the clinic, it'll be a little bit more of a business arrangement with the lease and everything, and we would discuss technology and all of that. And usually we just use your infrastructure to come in and connect to our infrastructure. It's primarily what we usually do. But all of that would be what our program manager would come in and work with you guys to figure out what's the next best way to do alterations and renovations and get us connected.
They also have a grant writer specific to SWOPE, so that is a huge help in trying to find those funds to make sure that we're outfitted correctly.
And she's good.
What would you say a best guesstimate for total cost to make this done? Open the door.
We've had other full clinics, full family medicine clinics that we've started up for about $350,000 to $500,000, and those are full family medicine clinics with much more space and much more room and equipment that has to be put in there. For a clinic this size, I would say we're probably going to be looking somewhere around $100,000 to $250,000. And that might be a big overestimate because, again, you have the 4 walls. Really, my next step is bring my program manager in and have her look, and I will have a way better idea of what we can do. We did a manual, but a manual had the walls and everything up. Really, all we did at a manual was came in and did the equipment. And we did the equipment for medical and dental for about $70,000.
Liability on the school district?
Oh, that's
Any?
we were about ready to talk about that.
What was that?
Liability on the district?
Do you guys have liability insurance?
Yeah, we have we are fairly qualified. We have full liability. When send the patient here, you'll be the leaseor, we'd be the leasee. Is that right? If I have the term right. And the contract we would have with the district in this situation would cover all of that. So just like if we were a clinic with an office in a commercial building somewhere, you're just our landlords. And the relationship we have with your students, once they're our patients, it's a doctor-patient, organization-patient relationship with all the liability and responsibility that comes with that.
And just to be clear, this is a pad site lease. We're not paying to renovate this facility. I just want that to be clear. We kept talking about how much does it cost. It costs them.
Yeah.
It does not cost us. We will lease them, and because of what they're providing, we would likely provide a no-cost lease. We'd probably have a little bit of utility costs, a little bit of technology costs, and this is an exceptional service. This is not a service that's found at your normal early childhood center. This would be a bright shining star in our school district. So.
And that's kind of one way we look at it is, if you're offering us a no-cost lease, we're gonna try our best to get the funding to come in here and do the full alterations and renovations. That's kind of the trade-off. And the sustainability part is coming in without that big overhead.
So you're just bringing a no-brainer proposal.
If I have a big overhead, then my CFO is like, you know, it takes me 3 or 4 years.
I wonder, do you need a motion?
Especially as a federally qualified health center, there's no way we could sustain it.
Being that we have a career center, I'm assuming that that would apply even though they're technically not in our district. That would kind of come into play as well.
We will see
Career center, being that we have other schools that come to us if it grows to that
We
point.
will see anyone who you guys decided you want us to start seeing at the site. And it would just depend on capacity, staffing. So if Dr. Katie came and said that we want to offer it at the Career Center, we would start making plans to start offering at the Career Center.
Growth would be structured. You know, we're gonna start at the ACC and decide what's best from there.
And we would go at your pace.
I love this idea.
I do too.
100%.
I've wanted us to have a clinic for students and staff
I was about ready to
for
say.
years and years, so this is a start.
And that's the next thing is we start for the students in the district, now their families, their adults, their families. And I think Dr. Katie's vision is the community.
And I like that it covers all health.
Yeah.
Yes.
Comprehensive. We're not just coming in doing screenings.
Yeah.
This is full comprehensive primary care.
So we just need to vote to approve moving the program forward at this point in time.
So moved.
Second.
So the motion will be, is to,
Partner with SWOPE.
to partner with SWOPE and to move the early childhood center clinic forward. Okay? Kaylin was first. Rick was second.
I would like to say something
Go
before we
ahead.
go on.
I was gonna say-
And I'm sure that Dr. Hvac, and even Rick, who worked in law enforcement, for somebody out there who's watching this and doesn't understand the crisis in healthcare for children in this country, my 30-year teaching career began in a deeply impoverished school in Kansas City, Kansas. I had high school students who had never seen a doctor in their entire lives. And a dentist, you know, and then I moved to the Park Hill School District where you would think, well, that's a whole different animal. I had kids coughing, just sick. Like, why don't you go see a doctor? We can't afford to see a doctor. We can't afford to see a dentist. Kids who, Mr. Stone, can I sit in the front of the room? We can't afford glasses for me. I don't think unless you are in a classroom anywhere in this country, in any public school, you understand that even people who seem to be comfortable financially, the cost of healthcare, if they don't have health insurance and they don't have access, and a lot of kids, you know, don't, little kids don't see doctors, they go to a clinic situation or an emergency room. This is the most unbelievably beneficial thing to this whole community, I think, that I've ever heard presented. Exactly. And I'm sure Steve has stories just like mine, I know. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Katie.
Yeah, no, thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously.
Both of
Thank
you.
you both for the
A
idea.
wonderful step in the so important direction of how to find.
All right, so we have a first and a second. Thank you for your time. All those in favor of moving forward? 7-0. Thank you, doctors.
Thank you,
Doctors.
Thomas. Much appreciated.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Way too many doctors in the room this evening.
Surprisingly few of them can help you medically.
Yes, that has been pointed out. more than once.
Yeah, if you choke on a lifesaver, there's only one guy.
All right, next up is the district HVAC project.
So if you thought that was exciting, this is also amazingly exciting as well. This is a project that Hannah and Drew are going to talk to you about that would be funded through the ESSER 3 dollars, and you know on the ESSER funds you can only do certain things with them, and we have a needed project, and whether we do it with ESSER funds or not, it's a project that has to be done. It's ventilation, it's HVAC, so rather than borrowing the money through bonds or a lease purchase or using local funds, we have the opportunity to use ESSER funds to do this. So Hannah and Drew are going to talk to you a little bit about this project, and we'll go from there.
Good up. Thank you, Dr. House.
All right.
Is this called more free money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the introduction and for the opportunity to be here. My name is Hannah, and I have Drew Sebelius, our Project Development Manager, with us. I think most of you probably remember us from the first phase of work that we did here in June of 2020, so we're excited to be here tonight and bring a potential opportunity for you to continue along the long-range plan and keeping your existing facilities in good shape for the kids. So we are both with Schneider, and at Schneider we work under a legislation in Missouri that's been around for about 20 years, and this legislation enables school districts to reinvest dollars that you're spending on utilities to fund improvements such as lighting, HVAC, phones, some of the projects that were already completed as well. So the first phase of work went to contract in June of 2020, and that was completely funded by energy savings, and there were actually additional savings as opposed to what it cost. So the district is gaining some operating dollars from this project because of the low-hanging fruit that you already completed in construction. So during that phase, we did LED lighting across district-wide, interior and exterior, and that also included the new Msba football field lighting with the ball tracking technology, and converting the phones over the internet, plumbing retrofits, and really just things that all save more money than they cost. During construction, the district achieved about $7,000 of savings and $80,000 worth of savings in your first year. So really just a fiscal and environmentally responsible way to use the taxpayer dollars without impacting the budget or bond capacity as well. During that review of the first phase, Drew and our team came on site to analyze some other opportunities for some long-range planning for the school district, and there is not a very long list, but a good list of different things that the school district can do to continue to keep the buildings in good shape for the kids, and a lot of that included some mechanical and HVAC work at the high school. So I want to give Drew the opportunity to talk through what the scope of work that we are presenting tonight entails.
You bet. And as you can see on your screen there are three primary scope items that would be encapsulated in this project. The first of which, installing building automation system at the high school, the career center, as well as this facility. We've called it the IT maintenance facility. I know it's changed kind of names over the last couple of years. But those three facilities would basically get an expansion of what has already been laid, kind of a foundational groundwork from. And a building automation system is basically a fancy way of saying like thermostats, right? It's a way to control both energy efficiency as well as the comfort within those spaces. You already currently have that platform at Elkhorn FEMA as well as Westview Early Childhood Center. This is just an expansion of that. You know, when we first met with Dr. Hain, Dr. Tomlinson, and Anthony Berry 3 years ago, it was, you know, what are some of the main priorities that you need to tackle? And one of them is a consolidated control system that they can more quickly troubleshoot issues, maintain proper levels of comfort, and maximize energy efficiency. And this is just further steps in that direction of accomplishing that goal. So that would be expanded to those three facilities. There's also a separate change order in consideration for expanding that to Cornerstone Elementary as well. That is the first prong of this. The second two, like Hannah mentioned, are HVAC specific at the high school. Two problematic areas today are the PAC and the gymnasium, and they both have their own separate issues. Within the PAC, there are 5 package rooftops there today, providing heating and cooling. They were oversized at the time, which if any of you know anything about HVAC, if it's oversized, it very quickly cycles off and can't take all of the humidity out of the space. So what maintenance has had to do in those spaces in order to keep the humidity levels down is run one in heat and one in cooling, which I think you all can realize it's not very efficient. So kind of the plan for the PAC is to right size those units so that they can operate in the correct way that they're supposed to, provide correct amounts of outside air, provide heating and cooling in those spaces. And then similar to that would be the gymnasium, where today it's actually the opposite problem. There's not enough outside air introduced by code required amounts in there today, and so we're going to introduce the proper amount of outside air, which is always important to do, but especially in today's pandemic world, it's especially critical to make sure that we're turning over, getting more air changes per hour in that gymnasium, so it's a healthier learning environment, and a healthier environment for when you're, kids are running around and creating a lot of, off-gassing a lot of carbon dioxide in those spaces, and just getting that turned over quicker, introducing more outside air. Through all of these new HVAC improvements, we're going to install an advanced filtration technology called bipolar ionization. Basically allows contaminants and particulates to clump better together and then be picked up by your filter media. And so it's going to be even better learning environment and healthier indoor air quality in those spaces. That was rapid fire on a lot of those. I know that's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, but any questions on those specific scope items encapsulated in this phase of work?
So as I said, this is something that needs to be done either way.
Yeah.
I'm new to this district, and one of the first things I heard about was the issue at the PAC with HVAC. And the system in the gym is very old, and like Drew mentioned, today's code, I mean, it was fine for the codes that were in existence at the time, but it doesn't meet today. And whether it's COVID or flu, cold, whatever, I mean, improving air quality needs to be done regardless. This will help with that. I do want to note that these ESSER funds have been allocated by the federal government. We do have to wait on the General Assembly of Missouri to allocate those funds, to appropriate those funds, and then for DESE to then allocate them. So the motion you'll see here, also the contracts we've had written, note that exception. In other words, if those funds are not appropriated and allocated, this project doesn't happen. We're not on the hook with this company to do this work, right? But by engaging tonight, what we are able to do is lock in pricing. As you know, inflation is out of control, and starting next month, there's set price increases, probably at least 10% would be my guess. And I've seen this in everything, with like when we had to order a few additional furniture items for Cornerstone, what we had to pay compared to what we ordered it for originally, drastically different. So this is happening. So it's a great way to lock in the pricing, but we're only obligated if and when the funds do come.
So if the legislation sends it back to the federal government, we're free.
Yeah, we just miss out and
somebody else gets
too.
it. Okay, so this is, make sure I understand, the motion will be is to replace HVAC, the PAC in the gym.
I can read it if you want. You want me to read the rest?
Yes.
I have a question too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you guys went in, did the review for the gym and PAC and stuff like that. I don't know firsthand, but I know they've had some, there's not much ventilation in the wrestling room. I don't know if you guys ever, the multi-purpose
area, which is right.
I'm just thinking if you guys are in there doing things, there's no furnace in there, AC, it's a concrete room.
And that's at the high school?
Yeah.
It has a corner.
The gymnasium, locker room.
Literally,
it's a separate
The only
area,
way they get heat and AC is to open up the doors to the smaller weight room or the hallway. And that's where you have a lot of kids, a lot of wrestling. I mean, it's just been, there's no furnace or no AC in there.
It was never designed.
And it's a large room. It wasn't designed like that. So
It
I
has
just
a
wondered if
corner.
you're in there working, what it would be to run a, ductwork into that room. I don't know.
Well, under this project, we wouldn't be able to do it under this project because this one's been approved in its scope that it is. But that doesn't stop us from looking at that as a possible project. It could even be a change order that we pay for with local funds or, you know, some.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't
unallocated
sure,
funds.
if you were in there, you know.
Yeah,
working
that's good
there.
to be
That
aware
was
of.
it, that was all.
And
Well,
like,
we'll definitely take a look at it.
yeah, thank you. Like Dr. Huck said, we can always evaluate things later on. I know there's, as a district, there's needs at the middle school and some of the other buildings, so this was a prioritized plan for these dollars right now, and if in the future, if the district wants to consider other things, then we can always evaluate that and let you know what the impact would be. And then the other thing I wanted to mention quickly is that the district will be getting a rebate by doing some of this work, so by improving and becoming more efficient. It's just under $40,000, so last time, I think we got about $25,000, and we presented a check out in front of the district office and had that sent out to the local paper, so we'll be sure to do that again, and that rebate money goes directly
Spin till it's
to
free.
the district, so.
What's the break even? Spin till it's free. What's that?
The break even of what?
Yeah, we were talking about the more you spend,
The more you spend, the more you save.
Oh.
Where's it become free at?
$1 million.
That's
But,
exactly right.
But
This is more than that, so we're in the plus.
This was unexpected news, though, to get a $40,000 rebate after the fact on this, so that's pretty great. That's actually the cost of putting building automation system in Cornerstone, or adding on the central office or something. There's options to use that fund that way. So, and then on that room you're talking about, Kenny, also make sure it's in the facility assessment that's ongoing right now too, okay? So if we don't get through it this way, we'll at least have it on the facility assessment as a needed project.
This ain't some ventilation.
Yeah, seriously. I'm gonna read the recommendation. It's recommended that the Board of Education contract with Schneider Electric for HVAC renovations in the amount of $2,367,401 once ESSER 3 funds are appropriated by the General Assembly and dispersed from DESI.
So moved.
Second.
First by Troy, second by Darren. All those in favor? Put your hand up, Kalen, if you're in. 7-0. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
So,
very much.
was Cornerstone not automated when it was built?
It was,
Oh.
but it's on a different building automation system than what we're trying to standardize with. It's a Honeywell platform.
So, yes, lost in translation somewhere, but we want to get it on the same system that the rest of the district will be on so that we can actually utilize it. I wasn't here for that, so I don't know.
Well,
But
I was getting ready to do his
It was
evaluation.
probably Jared, it was probably Jared or Melissa, but.
Hey, Notice he didn't say me.
I noticed you were.
This
I
year I
noticed.
started
the biggest
in
proponent of
July.
the
Are you sure it wasn't us?
This guy.
Yeah, Cornerstone was done when
Since
I
day
came
one.
on board.
Yeah.
Which is the same.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all, we appreciate it.
All right, next up is the 22 COVID plan update. Dr. Tomlinson.
Well, if it pleases the board, ESSER 3 has a requirement that our plan is approved every 6 months in order to be eligible to receive ESSER funding. So we would like to present our updated COVID plan from previously with updated dates and some slight modifications. We're not changing anything that we're doing. We're not making any proposals to do anything differently than how things have been going. If you take a look at our COVID dashboard, our numbers are still low. And so all we're looking to do is to update our COVID plan to be compliant with the requirements for ESSER 3.
Just a compliance requirement, and we put it in front of the district leadership team today.
Various
So,
stakeholders.
which is made up of various stakeholders, and they reviewed it. Again, nominal changes such as things like dates, but nothing of significance.
They loved your work.
Has anything changed with recent developments with the Attorney General announcing or whatever?
No.
All the funds, okay, I'm just asking, that's been a concern, obviously, that people have been reaching out. Didn't know, so that's a good thing for us, it means we're doing the right thing.
I think so.
Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the COVID plan update?
So moved.
First by Caitlin, second by Stephen. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Next up, the high school 22-23 career and educational planning guide approval. I don't have the name. Is it you?
Yep.
Okay.
So every year you guys approve the CEPG, and although it was sent to you guys, I'm sure you read every word. I thought I would give you guys some highlights as to some of the major big changes. So I'm a big fan of the one-page infographic in front of you there, just to go over very quickly. The first number that you'll see on there are the college credit hours offered to our students. It's up from 16 hours to now a student at the high school has the opportunity to earn 43 college hours, which is outstanding. That's really impressive. Over on the right, you can see kind of by subject area how that's broken down. The biggest change overall in the last 3 years is social studies. We didn't have any offerings at the college level, and now you can get 12 hours. One of the newest ones at science is medical terminology, which pretty much anyone that gets a science background has to take that class, so that's a 2-hour college credit opportunity for a kid. Underneath, that's going to be a little bit different. Kristen has the idea of having a high school testing day where each student in the high school is going to take the mandatory assessment. So for freshmen, we're going to give them the pre-ACT. What that does basically is it shows ACT readiness, and it gives us some indication of what we need to do to prepare them for the upcoming ACT. You really can't wait until they take it for the first time to determine what you need to do. It's too late often, so that pre-ACT will be really valuable in giving us that information. Really new, 10th grade, we're going to require that all 10th graders actually take the PSAT. This does a couple of things. It helps students qualify for National Merit Scholar. This offers all kinds of scholarship opportunities for kids. And also one of the really important things is it shows AP and advanced class readiness so that you can have some of those conversations with parents ahead of time. It's not just a straight A student that is a really good AP student necessarily, so this is one of those indications that will help us help parents with the decision. All 12th graders will take the Workkeys placement test. This is a different kind of test that really focuses on career readiness. And you can see down at the bottom, this is what our kids scored this year. 10 of our students scored platinum, 27 gold, 33 got silver, and 26 earned bronze. And that's just from our senior class. Clay County recognizes that and offers credentials. A lot of times they'll give extra pay, an extra $1 an hour if they have those credentials. So it's simply just giving kids that test and having that credential gives them an opportunity that they never would have even thought that they had before they took the test. Next over there, one of the changes that we have in algebra, I'm charged with increasing algebra EOC scores, just district-wide. I'm very passionate about changing our math scores for the better. One of the things that Algebra 1 teachers are going to be doing is they're all going to be receiving pre-AP training on how to teach in a pre-AP style. It's not necessarily that our courses aren't rigorous enough, it's that a math test doesn't look like it did 20 years ago. They ask students to be able to do different things and perform different tasks. So that should help with that. Down at the bottom, talking about our Missouri Option Program, we have 6 students currently that have graduated. We have 4 next semester that will be on their way to graduation. That's 10 students that would have dropped out of high school, so we're always super proud of that number. There's a new hire is in charge of that, Coach Cody Beck, and he is doing a phenomenal job. He's just one of those guys that is outstanding with those unreachable kids. He's just fantastic. It shows it in the next number, which is every one of those Missouri Option kids is at a 90% attendance rate or higher. Many of them have never had a 90% attendance rate, so that just really speaks volumes to that. And a number that words cannot describe how proud I am of the high school. I am really excited to roll this number in, and I will put it in front of you every month. But so far, the high school has 59 courses with complete curriculum written that they are ready for your approval. So I know, I'm very, very proud of them. We have an amazing high school staff. So I am looking for an approval of the CEPG. Like I said, that's just a few of the highlights that I'm sure you all read. And
why not 61?
Wait till, give me next month. You've been hanging out with Dr. Hux too much, haven't you? Yes.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Fabulous job.
Yes.
Doc, on the super test, as we called it, super test day at Park Hill.
Mhm.
So would that be, is the ACT then going to be a sample ACT?
We're gonna try to get the actual ACT. It's a logistics nightmare to try to get everything lined out on the same day.
I don't think the PSAT can be the same day as the ACT.
We may have to have 2 testing
Yeah, I
dates.
was gonna say,
Kristen's
that
working
is-
on it. That's her dream, as she says, is to
So
have
then
one
would we
testing
offer
date.
an official ACT to every junior then?
Yes,
That's outstanding.
that's our goal. So, a lot of
At
kids
our
don't
expense,
know,
right?
what's that?
We would pay for that,
Yes.
like we used to.
Yes. So instead of one test that we will pay for, we are going to give a kid an opportunity to take a test a year. In addition to that, it prepares them for those high stakes tests that are, I mean, for a lot of kids, it's make or break whether they go to college or not.
You
So-
already take the PSAT as a junior as well, and if somebody's close to national
And
merit.
I think that's the thing. I pulled statistics on PSAT, and we just don't have very many kids that even try. They're just unaware of all of the opportunities associated with it. So I think taking that PSAT and identifying the kids that do well, you can set some goals for them to knock out that SAT and the PSAT. Yep.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the 22-23 Career and Education Planning Guide approval.
So moved.
First by Troy, second by Darren. Any further questions for Dr. Miller?
Good work.
Questions, comments?
Well, thank you.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Anything further from you?
I say we adjourn.
Anything further from that end of the table?
We're done with the good news for the evening.
Good.
Save some for next week.
We would
We
say
got our
aye.
stamp
So
on
you
it.
got bad news?
Nope.
All right,
I would second
Motion
the
to
motion.
adjourn.
at that time, entertain a motion to adjourn. First by Steven, second by Troy, all those in favor? Troy and Steven.
Good job.
7-0.
Nice job.
I'm gonna,
Ryan, I have a question before you go.
Dr. Miller, I'm going to frame this.